we are here today with CJ Aaron, whose book cover for his series, well, the first in the series at least, is really, really cool. Anyways, this is okay. Fond of the book cover. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on, and then we'll get into the first book in the series, which is always exciting.
So I am, my name is CJ Aaron. I am a very new fantasy author here. First book came out just last week, so we're a week and a few days into it. I grew up in New England. Moved down here about 6 years ago to steamy Texas, and that's where we call home now. So it is hot.
That is quite the adjustment there.
Oh yeah. It took a little bit of getting used to. I never had allergies till I moved down here, but
yeah. Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh wow. All right. Fun. Okay, so tell us about your series. The book one is, okay, hold on. I got the title. I should be able to do this. Tribute at the Gates, which is the first book in the Catalyst series. Correct?
Correct. That is correct.
The
well
internet
done.
Has not failed me. So tell us a little bit about that.
So Tribute at the Gates is the book, like you said, the book one in the Catalyst series. It's basically a story of a young man. Name's Ryle. He and people that are born with a certain blood type like him are basically hunted, enslaved, and then eventually harvested for their blood. It's a little bit dark, not surprisingly, but it's really a story about him growing as an individual, learning about the secrets hidden within and without, and like I said, it's a bit of a dark tale, but the whole central theme I kind of feel is hope. No matter how dark it gets and how crazy it is, there's always hope. So that's what I wanted to. Thank you. That's what we wanted to get across with that.
Of course, that being said, I'm now going to get into the super dark bits. So what is it that's so important about this blood type?
Without giving too much of it away.
Spoilers. Yeah, no spoilers as much as you can.
So it's called the blood of the ancients, and it is actually the key component in making a elixir that is used. We won't go into what the elixir does, but it's used basically doled out to the high echelons of society.
Bummer. These poor guys with this blood. I mean,
And it's rough. It's they're put in a position when children are found out to have or not have it, where they are either given the choice to sell their child to the kingdom or run and hope for the best. And the best doesn't always work out.
Yeah, although I could see that you could, take a group of these people and sort of, I don't know what the proper word is. There's a term for it, but it's escaping me. Sort of create a community of, not quite rebellion, but angry people with knives. Words and I are not having a great time today, apparently. This is, yeah. Anyways, for the people who do run, I don't imagine it ends well.
It does not end well for the people that run.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Ryle, what's his story as far as you can tell us without spoilers?
So Ryle was a child whose family sold him instead of making the decision to run. So we carry some baggage with that. Not
yeah,
surprising.
I can imagine. Just a
little.
Yeah. Okay. Fun. So where do you think the story will go again without spoilers? Because I imagine you can do a bunch of different things. I mean, you've got your standard rebellion against the Empire, which is always a favorite. You've got the subversion from within, the escaping to a new place. I mean, the whole Stargate television series or Stargate Atlantis, I guess, since going to be a nerd here. But okay, the technology works better this way, and there's all sorts of background and magic and stuff.
So it goes in a lot of those directions.
No. Yeah, okay. Note to self, don't ask silly questions.
I did keep Stargate out of it. That is probably the one thing it doesn't go to. No, it's hard to give a, it's hard to go that route without giving too much away, but it's time to fight back.
Sure. Okay. So tell us a little bit about the world itself. Just is it sort of modern day fantasy, set obviously in a different world, or is it your medieval style or steampunk style or what have you?
It went with the medieval-ish style.
Okay.
Style of fantasy. So
Fun.
Swords and bows still. No firearms yet.
Well, I mean, firearms can be problematic because they add that extra element of
the Indiana Jones scene.
Yeah, well, yeah. Fun movies, but perhaps not quite the way they should be.
They never are.
No. Oh, well. All right. Fun. So, you've got 3 books in this series. Are there going to be more?
So the series will finish up with, so the series is going to finish up with number 4.
Okay, so 4 books.
Slated.
Okay. And are you going to play around with more things in the same world, or are you going to move into a completely different direction? Because, why not?
Because why not? So when I first started, I mean, I am, like I said, very new to the writing world. I only first put the pen to paper, so to speak, or clicked on the keys of my phone back in 2018. Almost, I would probably say 3/4 of the first 2 books and half of book 3 were actually all written on a cell phone in a dark room trying to put my youngest to sleep. So I wouldn't suggest doing it, but it worked out.
I mean, the keys are just kind of too small for...
It's bad when you have to get a new phone because the battery doesn't work on the old one and you want to throw it through a window because you can't type properly anymore. Yeah. It got to that situation. I found that Google Docs doesn't like hundreds of thousands of words in a document, so it gets split up into a few working documents. But
bummer, phone technology. Oh,
they make those things on laptops, but who needs?
It seems like weird technology. I mean, I'm not sure about this, but then again, I still own a typewriter, so.
Yeah, I don't think that would have helped putting a little one to sleep. So, phone.
No.
phone. So
that would be a disaster. Things not to do.
Yet, so.
Yeah, well done.
But
writing. Wow, yeah. I'm impressed that you managed to write that much on a phone.
It was what I had to use at the time, so I made it through it. But back to what we were getting to. So when I first had the idea to start writing, I started with basically 2 different. I mean, I had no idea what I wanted to write. I had no idea what style I wanted to write. So I basically picked a few storylines that I was looking to investigate. 2 really jumped out at me. One, which was much more sarcastic. If you haven't found out yet, you will, that I'm incredibly sarcastic.
Nothing wrong with that.
Or mildly sarcastic. But yeah, I wanted to take one more that sarcastic comical route, and then one being much more. I was writing for a time. I was writing one chapter, one back to the other chapter. Mm-hmm. I still love the other one, but this one tribute. There's everybody in this world won out, and that's I put the other one aside. I've picked away at a couple words here and there since then, but really my focus has entirely been on the Catalyst series.
Sure. Well, I mean, I get
entirely for the most part.
Yeah, trying to do multiple things in different styles and worlds and whatnot at once. Yeah, always fun.
And I found that the sarcastic more. I mean, it wasn't going to be satirical at all. I was going to try to throw in a little more humor, but it still ended up falling in a little bit of the darker realm as well. And it just morphed. It morphed. If I could speak too, it's contagious. It kind of morphed back into the same style as the tribute ended up. So
sure.
I think that's how I'd like to at one point pick it. It's about 50,000 words in now, so
Wow.
um,
So you're a decent way
pick it up
in.
again these days. But
Yeah.
I had been toying around with splitting it up into smaller chunks and doing 5 different more novella style smaller books out of it, but I'm not sure where it's going to go yet. I'm leaning now toward it'll probably take 3 to finish it, but I mean, who knows? Who knows?
I can tell you're not the let's plan out every detail in advance because, why not sort of a person.
I really tried when I started. No, I wouldn't say every detail. I mean, I didn't. I had the intentions of another project, the newer project I was working on. I had every good intention of getting the idea board with pictures and everything ready, but
Sure.
there's just not time for that right now. So I've got them all saved. I don't have them in one easy to.
Yeah.
Any for lack, but I mean, I sat down and I tried to outline as much as I could of the characters and the plot and the locations and everything. And just like with a tribute, the best guess at the end. I knew the beginning and I knew the end. I had a general idea of where I wanted to go in the middle, but as I'm sure you know all too well, doesn't always end up going that way. And honestly, one of my favorite characters in the tribute was never even planned. So it was never even considered in the initial plan, and couldn't do any of the rest of the series without that character. So it worked out.
There you go. Yeah, I have tried both different ways, and both of them work for different reasons. So, hybrid working is probably the best way to go.
Everybody's got their own way of doing it. I can't say one way's right, way's wrong. Whatever, what works for me, probably might not work for you. I can't imagine most people are going to want to type on their phone. But and I honestly don't either anymore. But
yeah, well, and then you do have
do what we have to do.
Yeah. Oh, fun though. I love all of the books that tell you precisely what it is that you're meant to do when writing. Those are fun.
How much do you follow them? They're good. They're suggestions.
They're more, suggestions and potentially amusing ones at that.
I'd love to be able to do this full time and sit down. I think I'd probably have a little bit of a different system or maybe more effective, maybe less effective system. I'm not sure, but
sure.
I do the best with the time I have now, and
yeah. Well, and then you get into the other bits of the whole writing process that exists these days because thank you technology. Let's see here: editing, marketing, publishing, cover design. If you're able to do that yourself, which I am not at all. Not even a little bit.
I dabbled in graphic design, but I tried making a couple covers for some of the earlier works. No, I gave up. Those would not have sold anything.
Yeah. Professional cover designers, I find, are extremely valuable people to have in your tool belt.
That's one of the most exciting parts about the process, I think, is the cover design. I love. I mean, obviously, writing is writing. You see the picture, you're writing in your head, but it's just it's black and white. It's words on a page.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing, even if it's only a snippet of it. The cover design is it's so exciting to see that part come back.
Yeah.
And it's, I just listened to audio. This was the first time I've ever had anything audio.
Oh.
So there's an audio. And there's the audiobook version of it too, which is narrated by Travis Baldry.
Wow.
It's me chills listening to it. So I've never heard. I mean, I hear the voice in my head that reads it, and it's not something anybody's going to want to hear. But having somebody that's at the top of the game doing it, it's pretty incredible.
It is pretty fun. I didn't realize you had an audiobook out. Also, I just thought it was the book, but that tells you how good I am at internet searches. So. I have this ongoing battle with Amazon and Google where I'm trying to search for indie authors, and I do this every day because I read so much and I talk to people and whatnot. And almost every single time they will show me traditional or products that have absolutely nothing to do with the book that I'm searching for. And I search for the name of the author, and they're like, it's spelled wrong. Like, no, it really isn't. So, yeah. Oh, it's always fun. So
Never
how's your
heard of.
marketing going then?
So things have gotten off to a really good start. So Athon Book, this is published by Athon Books. They are luckily the ones that are handling the marketing side of things because they know what they're doing. And I do not.
Yeah.
I had initially released this on my own back in the end of 2018 for a matter of a few months. I'm sure I made a colossal amount of mistakes in the time. I might have broken even one month. Definitely not the next couple months, but they, it's nice to have that piece of things in the hands of capable, very, very capable people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a side of the business that I'd love to learn, but
not yet.
They do a better job than I do. So
well, and there's this whole concept of free time and who has time to do research for marketing when you're trying to write the books.
And it changes so often. I mean, even I took a while from looking at the whole, the KDP, the dashboards and all that stuff, and everything changes. The algorithms change and the formulas change and price changes and it took. I remember I glued to the computer looking at it originally.
Yeah, I know people who are very capable at looking at all of the numbers and the data points and okay, for ad set number whatever, I need to do it this way with this audience, and I'm like, did I actually check my reports this week or no?
Did I open that email or did it just file it with stuff?
Yeah. So what's your editing process look like? Because I'm always curious.
So the whole process, just so I like to sit down and write from start to finish. I try not to jump around when I write. I mean, I find that if there's a chapter or something I know that's coming up, I don't want to jump. It gives me motivation to kind of get there quicker. Because I really want to write this one part. I really want to get there. One of my favorite parts in the first series comes in book 3, and it. So all of book 1 and all of book 2, I had to think about it, and I wouldn't let myself read any of it until I got to it. So by the time I got to it, it might have been a little anticlimactic when I got to it because of that. But no, it was fun. It was fun to finally. No, it worked out, and by that point, a lot of what was happening and will happen and did happen had changed. So, but it kept me going for a while. But it's fun. That's why I like to start from point A, get to the end. Then I'll go back and rewrite it, try to clean it up as best I can. I am no editor. I feel bad for the first person that took a crack at this, even after me going through it probably 4 times. Keep in mind, it was written on a phone. Phones like to autocorrect things a lot. So there were questions like, "What is this word?" It's like, I couldn't tell you. I don't honestly know what that word is or why it's there, but say let's remove that one. But yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. And then I'll go back and rewrite again, make changes, and then send it back out for someone else to do it again. So.
Oh no, the sending out and the returning. Yeah, it's always fun though to see what people think.
It is. It's nice that most of them have come back without you need to change the first 20 chapters or anything like that. So.
Oh, that would hurt.
Your horror stories where it's like, first half of this one doesn't work for me. I think you're gonna need to change. No, it's I mean there are changes that were made. Nothing serious, but obviously they're for the better. I mean, I admittedly am not the person to be editing my own writing. So like marketing, I'd rather somebody that knows what they're doing do it.
Yeah, I can understand that impulse very well. Very well indeed. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move sideways. Your book is not quite what I would call grimdark. It's probably darker, but you said it's got the central theme of hope, so this is me trying to get genre sorted out. I'm really terrible at genre, by the way.
Might be asking the wrong person, but we'll get through this together.
Yeah, okay. So, darker story. That puts it away from Noble Bright, obviously. Because, that would be... Actually, I would like to see that at some point, but that's beside the point.
That's the next episode.
Yeah, it's epic, I would imagine.
Yes.
I can figure out that part. Ha! It's just a question of whether or not it's fully dark or not.
So when I sat down to start to write this, I really didn't think about the subcategory of
I never
fantasy.
do.
And I said, I want to write fantasy and figure out where it goes from there.
I do that all the time. I'm like, this is magical.
I mean, it falls into somewhere in a mix of swords and sorcery, myth and legend, dark fantasy. So throw it all together, it comes out in there somewhere. So.
Okay, great. So, do you know of any books that are of a similar genre thing out there? At least that you can compare to yours, so I have a basis of where to start.
I don't. That's a tough question.
That is a perfectly acceptable answer.
About that one.
That is perfectly acceptable. And that just means that you have created a niche genre.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I don't know which ones. I mean, absolutely. Yep,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the problems with the continuing evolution of any genre, I guess, because it's not what I grew up reading. It has changed so much since then, and I'm trying to keep up with it, but I'm really not very good at that, I have discovered. So, all right, well, I will try to figure that out later.
So many new entries that it's kind of impossible to keep up with.
Yeah, especially with the indie world versus the traditional world, and which trends are moving here versus there, and it requires research.
I know there's the emphasis on right to market, but when I started this, I couldn't even tell you what that was. So I wrote to, I tried to write a book that I would enjoy, and I hope it translates.
There you go.
It's been well received so far, which has blown me away. How well received it's been.
It's for a week and a half now. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Very exciting. All right, let's talk about other books that are not yours, because we can. Is there an author out there whose abilities you should like to steal in order to make your own books, that much more fantastic?
Ooh, only one?
Only one? Well, okay, you can have several.
I can tell you who's influenced me. So growing up, I was an avid Edgar Rice Burroughs reader.
Okay.
I can basically attribute my love to reading to the Mars series specifically. Yeah. Mars and Tarzan, and then it goes down from there. But no, that's what I grew up on reading. I took a bit of a break from reading, to be honest with you, with the advent of video games and things along those lines.
Sure. Sure.
But then when I got back into it, I got back into it full force. I dove head first in, and to the tune of almost 200 books a year, and it got, everything was in the fantasy realm. Anything I could get my hands. Coming of age fantasies are really, I've always had a soft spot for them. So
sure.
But there's so many authors that I could point to. I mean, everybody's got their own journey. Everybody's got on their own path. I don't know.
I always feel a little bad asking that question, because it's like, pick your favorite book, and like, no.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that a little more.
Okay. Okay. Well, if you come up with an answer, let me know because I'm
I'm just gonna
curious.
blur it out in the middle of it.
Yep, that'll work. That'll work. All right, for hold on, words. Curses. I ask this question all the time. Why can't I form words? Yeah. Okay. For people trying to get into your not quite genre, the bit of hope at the center of the rather not so great times, are there traps that they should avoid? And this can be either for readers or writers or whoever.
How so? Do you mean traps that they should avoid? Reading traps, writing.
Just again, words. I can talk. I am a capable person. Yeah, it's more okay, if you're trying to focus on the darkness, then perhaps you shouldn't focus on the light bits. But if you're trying to do both, then there can be, different dichotomies there that you have to deal with. Are there difficulties with characters sometimes, or is it just easy going? Because
I wouldn't say anyone in this story's got it easy going, but I tried to make it as straightforward. Might not be the right word. I guess easy to follow.
okay, interesting. Because I've not seen, again, since we can't even figure out what the genre is. Not that that surprises me. I'm really terrible at genre, like really terrible at it. So but I've not seen one where it talks about more of okay, this sucks. People are not having a great time, and yet there's that core piece that you were talking about is important. I've not seen that in a long while, so I'm curious to know how it actually works without spoilers.
Yeah, a lot of it comes in the discovery of who he is,
sure,
and the history of the world surrounding him, the history that's been lost.
Right.
So a lot of that comes through that.
Lost history is always fun to play with.
It was fun.
Yeah. Because, okay, how do you lose history? And the answer is very easily. But the question is, how do you get it back? Oh, no, you're not going to tell me. Curses!
I can't give.
You should just have the sign that says, read the book. Read the book. Yeah, I got it.
Right. Paper, just hold it up. Page number it.
Oh, pass.
See chapter.
Oh, helpful. So helpful. I mean, to be fair, I'm trying not to spoil the novel for people.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. I had one more question and I lost it. It has gone poof. We'll just skip over that for now. Is there anything we should know getting into your book beforehand?
I guess with any book, just it's hard. I guess it's always hard, but try to read every book with an open mind. Try not to. It's hard sometimes not to compare it to the one before. Every story is going to be a little bit different. I should say more than a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, just as with anything you read, just go into it with an open mind and just wait.
Yeah. Well, that's always the tricky part, especially I find with books that people are familiar with, or they expect X because it is of this style or whatever. But I think if you can manage it, then it works out really well, because there are so many good books out there that shouldn't be compared to other good books out there.
I have a really hard time comparing my writing to anybody else. I mean,
well, it's your writing, so I mean,
exactly.
You're a little too close to it. Or at
That's not
least,
a question.
yeah. Okay, good to know. We will keep an open mind. I'm very curious to read this because I have all these questions now that I want answers to.
Well, all answered. They will all be answered.
Yes. Yes. Very exciting.
Except for a couple that you have to read the second and third book for.
Well, I mean, naturally, getting through the first book in a series will always bring up more questions, which will then be addressed in the later books. Yes, yes.
Addressed with more questions.
Yeah. I do find that as a writer, I love doing that, asking more questions, and as a reader, I go,
As long
yeah.
as I'm slamming the book and throwing it away because there are too many questions.
Oh, I haven't ever actually done that one. I more just kind of circle around and wait for the next book to be released. But no, yeah. Huh. Okay. What does it take to make you slam the book shut and throw it off into the distance?
Ooh. I've yet to do that.
Okay.
So I've yet to do that. Luckily, I do. I am horribly guilty of judging a book by its cover, though.
I think many people are. I mean, with the advent of Amazon, we are no longer just looking at the spines of books that look fairly much the same because this is the genre, this is what it looks like, that sort of a thing. You get so many different covers out there, and you can sort of guess what's going on in the book, but not usually. So if I find the cover to be interesting, I'm probably going to look at the book. Again, Amazon, so helpful. All right, well, it has been absolutely fantastic talking with you, even with the fun technology.
No, always. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, reading related or otherwise, just to make sure people actually know what your book is?
What my book is specifically, I was going to say just keep reading.
Just keep reading. That works too.
That's the best advice. Yeah, it's hard to classify, I guess, in one specific little subset of the genre, but I think if you are a fantasy fan and you like any fantasy with dark elements in it, any epic fantasy, hopefully you'll give it a try, and hopefully you'll find that you like it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fun. I do like the cover, even if we're not supposed to judge books by the cover. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
Things I'm not supposed to do that I do anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll never.
Yep. I'm really terrible about that, but oh well.
It's okay.
All right, well, have a fantastic day. It's great talking with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.